Hi, I'm John here at the Replay Retro Gaming Expo with Mark from Team 17. So Mark, can you tell us the gaming inspirations from Team 17?
Gaming inspirations? Cool, that's a tough one because obviously we started way back in the Amiga days, so a lot of the games we played were very, very basic games, obviously. So we've been in the industry for 20 years, so we used to play stuff like Pong, and Worms has got a lot to do with the old Guerrillas basic game, the artillery-based game, with like the old tank games as well. So yeah, very old games, were what we were brought up on, if you like.
And we had the talk earlier. It's about an hour's worth of video there. But for anybody who doesn't want to sit through that, can you tell us a bit about where the name from Team 17 came from?
Right. Yeah. Team 17 was something that originally came back from the Amiga days, when everything was 8-bit, and then we had 16-bit, and Team 17 was called 17-bit software. The idea being that bit better than the rest. But of course, as time moved on, it was out of date, so we changed to Team 17 instead of changing
the number.
Exactly, yeah.
Where next for Worms?
Very good. Well, we're certainly not going to mess about with Worms particularly. The tried and trusted gameplay still works after all these years, so we're not going to go around and play around with that too much. All I can say is that we are always working on new concepts, new ideas. Some of them don't come about, some do. I can just say is that we are constantly working on Worms.
Any plans to bring the new Worms Crazy Golf to the Xbox?
We'll have to see where that goes, to be honest. The fact is that we didn't have enough staff free to develop for all formats.
Right.
So it's no, Xbox wouldn't have us or anything like that. It's just we just didn't have the time to do it. So we might possibly look at that in the future.
And can you tell us a bit about the Crazy Golf? Because it seems a perfect fit. We've just had a go at playing it.
Yeah, it is strange. Like John said in his talk today, why we haven't done it before. If you take the idea of Worms and the firing of the bazooka in particular, it's a perfect fit to doing a 2D side-on golf game. But then we've added all the craziness of Worms to it, the customisation of your characters, the speech banks, the hazards that we have in the game, such as the sheep and the old woman. The old woman actually bats away the ball with her handbag. So we've got all those kind of features in it which make it quintessentially Worms. But also the gameplay, especially when played in a social setting, it harks back to the old days of Worms, and that's what we really love about the game.
I mean, I remember Worms. I've played it for years on various PCs and such like that, and it was always a great multiplayer game because it was the hot seat mode where you wouldn't necessarily have to have loads of different consoles or loads of different controllers. You'd be able to have. Yeah. Do you think that's contributed to the success?
I do, yeah. A lot of people go on about how Worms is great online, and it is. But the fact is that most of our Worms players don't play online. They prefer to play offline with their friends in the comfort of their own home. Exactly, yeah.
Trash talking back and forth.
That's exactly it, yeah. But there's something about not playing with complete strangers online that Worms doesn't really fit as well as perhaps other games, like COD and things like that when you play online.
So this is going to be an interesting segue. The trash talking element, the Worms voices. Who's the iconic Worms voice?
It's a tough one, that. The original Worms voice, the original English speech bank, is one that we keep going back to and we keep using, and people keep asking about that. But then we have other speech banks which are definitely fan favourites. The Angry Scots one is that's one of the favourites of the fans as well. And we keep remastering them. It's not always the same people doing the voices, because the process of making them wormified, if that's a word, it is now. Yeah, then that's what makes them special. We've had some great character actors who've done some brilliant speech banks for us in the past, but it's hardly recognisable once we had the
wormification process.
Your word, not mine.
I think I'll coin that word. Can you tell us a bit about the weapon designs for Worms, the crazy weapons?
The crazy weapons, a bit strange sometimes the way they come about. We have quite a lot of inventive people. I think that's a very kind word to say. People who work at Team 17, and they come up with all kinds of ideas, which are usually influenced by something that's happened recently. Good examples of that would be the French sheep strike, the mail strike, the Fatkins. They all work around something which we've seen and thought actually that would be quite funny in the game. But coming up with new ideas for weapons is very difficult, because we've always got to think about the balance of the game. We put in a new weapon can completely ruin the balance of the game. And unfortunately, most fans' ideas of their ideal weapon is something that wipes out everybody in one go.
That's not them.
That's a mass destruction kind of weapon. But those, as fun as they are, would just completely ruin...
Are fun as long as you've got the first turn and
exactly,
set it off.
Very good.
And is that along the lines of why the customisation of weapons types in games is more limited now than it has in past titles?
It's partly to do with that. The other problem is the sheer amount of testing that something needs. We're very mindful of being able to test the games properly to make sure that everything works. And if you open up all the variables on weapons, for example, just one thing that's messed up there could completely ruin the game. And back in the day, we didn't have as many people playing as we do now, to be honest. And it's a lot more difficult to go out and patch and to sort something out, when you're looking at mass market.
And we've seen the Super Sheep, the fuzzy Super Sheep on your stand. Are there any plans for that to hit stores?
There is. I'm not sure of the exact date, but we're hopeful before Christmas. That'll be nice. Lots of other merchandise that's in the pipeline. Lots of really cool stuff, but that's the one that's furthest along. So hopefully we'll see that soon.
Any ideas what else is coming in the next year from Team 17?
I have. Yeah. We're not ready to talk about our plans as yet. We want to see obviously how well Crazy Golf does. We think there's lots of scope for extra content there, and also like I've said earlier, we're constantly looking at what we can do with the Worm franchise.
Great, thanks for having a chat with us.